Running Scared by Lynn Cook, Chapter 5. It appeared, to all intents and purposes, that the plan Julie and Paul had of being just good friends actually worked. All three of them, in fact, began to spend a lot of time together. At first, Lee thought it was a little sad that Paul felt he needed to pretend he was something that he wasn't. But then, Lee reasoned, didn't everybody do that to a certain extent, herself included? Even Julie, the more Lee got to know her, was not the wild child she pretended to be, and was, in fact, deep down, quite a romantic at heart. Lee never discussed the Julie incident with Paul, though in fairness they had certainly become close enough to talk about almost anything, but Paul never brought it up, so Lee felt it was probably best left forgotten. Paul would often come around to her flat and they would open a bottle of wine together while Julie was on one of her dates. They would laugh together, making bets on how they thought Julie would be getting on, but in a lot of cases Julie would be back before Paul left, so would join them. She would soon have them both in fits of laughter over what this guy had said or what that guy had done. They were both very nice friends to have, and it certainly made it easier on Lee having them close, making her feel a little less homesick. Her work was also going very well, keeping her busy, which although Lee enjoyed it, it did mean she didn't get to go home every weekend anymore, opting to go into the office a lot on a Saturday to finish things off. A lot of the work she got involved with came directly from June Gardner. Lee had a huge amount of respect for June, as she had obviously worked hard to get to where she was and knew her business inside and out. On these occasions, where appropriate, June always ensured Lee was recognised for her hard work on a new account or campaign, emailing Lee her thanks and copying in the relevant consultant and Greg. Within a short space of time, people were requesting her personally, not actually by name as yet, more by, get the one that helped last time to do it, or is that blonde one still around to lend a hand? So it wasn't exactly her name up in lights, but it was definitely a start. As for Greg, Lee never saw too much of him. There were the odd occasions where they would pass each other in the corridor, but other than the automatic and distracted nod of his head in a hello-type fashion, they never spoke. And then Lee heard that he had headed back to New York, this time for 6 months, so she relaxed completely regarding their initial meeting. It became the norm for Lee to work on specific accounts, which meant spending a lot of time on the sales floor, closer to the front line, so to speak, and she loved it. It was late Friday afternoon when June called Lee into her office. They exchanged the usual pleasantries before June got down to business. A rather interesting assignment has come up, Lee, and I want to recommend you to Stephen Bradley for the job if you're interested. Stephen was the sales and marketing director, second only to Greg himself, and in Greg's absence handled the day-to-day running of the UK office. Great, what kind of job? Lee couldn't help the excitement in her voice. You know Stephen, I take it, June clarified. Well, I know who he is, but I wouldn't exactly say we were on each other's Christmas card lists. Stephen wants to, and by that of course I mean Greg wants to, do a bit of a facelift on Phillips. Have a look at where we've been, where we're going, how we're perceived in the marketplace, that sort of thing. Exactly what we do for our clients, but in this case we would be the client, and Greg will be picking up the reins in New York. Interested? You bet. How long do you expect the assignment to last? Anything from 3 to 4 months. That's why I wanted to run it by you first, because it will mean me getting a temp in to help cover your job with Julie. I know it's nothing permanent, but a step in the right direction, don't you think? Lee smiled. I think you're my fairy godmother. June laughed. That's me. I'm just the sort that keeps making you work your arse off. Now that's settled, go and tell Julie as of Monday she's going to have to start working for a living. Oh, I couldn't do that to her on a Friday, June. It would ruin her weekend. She laughed as she walked out. On her way back to her own office, Lee stopped in on Paul. She knew Julie had a date tonight, and although this new assignment was only temporary, she still felt like celebrating anyway. Well, hello, gorgeous, Paul smiled. Hello, handsome. Paul was not alone. Simon Hanson was there, the guy Paul worked with, and he was used to their banter by now. Simon and Paul were quite good friends, so he knew there was nothing going on between Paul and Lee. but a lot of other people were not quite so sure. Lee didn't mind. If anything, it kept some of the more amorous ones at bay, so Lee let them think what they liked. "You look very pleased with yourself," Paul commented. "And so I should. I just landed myself a new job." Paul looked shocked. "You're leaving?" Lee laughed. "No, you fool. A new job here. It's only temporary, but," Lee shrugged, "who knows? It might lead to something." "Cool. So give me the details." "Gladly, but I was wondering what you were doing tonight. The sex goddess has another date, so I need you to come around and help me bask in my glory." "I would love to join you in a little basking, but I thought you were going home tonight." "I can't now. I'll have to come in here tomorrow and finish off some things." "Well, far be it from me to look a gift horse in the mouth. What time?" "Shall we say 8? I'll see you then." By 9, they'd got through half a pizza and a whole bottle of wine, and Lee had told Paul all about her new job. "It seems like a good opportunity, Lee, and Stephen always seems like a good guy. I think you'll like him." "I hope so, but to be fair, it doesn't really matter what he's like. So long as I do my job properly, he can't complain, can he?" "Absolutely, although I bet Julie complained. What did she say?" Lee smiled. "I'm sure you can imagine." "Yeah, I think you can spare me the details. Who is the lucky guy tonight, by the way?" Lee frowned. "John something, that photographer guy she met." Paul looked amazed. "The one she was talking to in the pub the other night?" Lee nodded. "That's the one." "He looks about 12. I thought he was on work experience when I first saw him." Lee shrugged. "According to Julie, he's 23. Paul guffawed. "Yeah, right, and I'm 103. Still, you have to love her for trying. Let's hope she likes him. So what about you?" Lee shook her head. "No, thank you. I like my men to shave, or at least have that option." She smiled. "I'm serious. How come it's never me and Julie sitting here talking about your dates?" "Because it's my flat," she joked. "You know what I mean." "Yes, I know what you mean, and I'm just not interested in all of that right now." She got up and opened another bottle of wine. He turned his head towards her. "Why aren't you interested?" "I've got more important things on my mind, that's all. I want a career and a future. I want to reach the top of a very male ladder, which is going to take hard work, drive, and ambition, all of which I have in abundance. But I need to focus and not be distracted." "Works for me, gorgeous. That way I get to keep you all to myself." He raised his glass. "Here's to being young, free, and single." They clinked glasses with smiles. They were okay. They had each other.